every now and again, you're gonna find some weird shit in VTuber communities. Alex says one for the normal people and one for the vertical enjoyers. Exactly. Is for the vertical enjoyers. But I do have a vertical video to show you guys, and somehow this video has sparked a fuck ton of controversy. But of course it's controversy on Twitter, so like they're not really people over there. But let's go ahead and see what's going on here. This is from a VTuber known as Eggy. And if you've been on Twitter, you probably already know what this is about. But let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on here and see some of the fallout there. Japazio says, people watch streams vertically? Yes. And unfortunately, they're usually Gen Z.
Recently, I had a video on here go viral about my relationship with my husband and my boyfriend. Yes, you heard me right. My husband and my boyfriend. I am polyamorous. I have 2 partners. I have a husband. I have a boyfriend. For some reason, this became a huge point of controversy because nobody's ever heard of a polyamorous relationship before.
You know, it's really weird. I want to say maybe 4 years ago, polyamory was getting a lot more normalized. And around that time, 4 years ago, earlier than that, 5-6 years ago, I was in a polyamorous relationship. And it seemed like I was having to explain what that was less and less to people over time. But now that Trump is in office and the Overton window has swung really far right, people have gotten really weird about that shit.
And I got like a fuck ton of hate.
Fighting Immortal says, I'm poly, currently working on a relationship with a mono person. That's understandable. You know what? I will say this. The idea that because I've heard this one said before, the idea that somebody who's polyamorous can't be with somebody who's monogamous because it's just never going to work. I think that's a goddamn lie. I think that people find people and we use labels to describe our preferred styles of relationships and our preferred ways of operating. But when you fall in love with somebody, you find ways to make it work. And I think that's fine. Said, well, they're weird about the other way too, but not completely differently. So the Overton window hasn't shifted far right. Kisses photo of dear leader.
For no reason. It was pretty fucking strange. And I didn't want to make a statement on it at the time because I just didn't want to deal with the smoke and I was going through a bunch of health issues. But now that it's kind of settled a little bit, I just wanted to say, what the fuck are you guys doing? Is everyone okay? Like, y'all need to go touch grass, seriously. You are upset about someone's relationship to the point that you are harassing them on other platforms because they are polyamorous. You need to get educated.
Agreed. And we're going to see some of the people she's talking about because they've been quite vocal here in a minute. But I'm just going to say this right now. If somebody has a relationship that is different than yours, but they are not hurting anybody, who cares? Who cares? There are dividing lines that I will take when it comes to relationships, like you want to have a relationship with a fucking 14-year-old and you're 25. Maybe don't. Maybe don't. We are so many years removed from the Romeo and Juliet laws at that point that maybe fucking don't. But at that point, we are dealing with a relationship that has nothing but harm built into it because you can't have informed consent when you're that fucking young. But that's not what's going on here. It's people in a polyamorous relationship. Now, there are people who find themselves in poly relationships who didn't want to be in them. And I've seen that happen, and it's sad when that happens, but that's no different than people finding themselves in a monogamous relationship they didn't want to be in. Finding out that you and a partner are incompatible, and then, finding out that you aren't incompatible with a polyamorous relationship while you're in a relationship with somebody who is. Those scenarios both are the same scenario, just different flavors of it. There's nothing wrong with that. If somebody is in a relationship and it looks different than yours, but they're happy, who cares?
You need to be more open-minded and you need to touch some grass, okay? Because the only one who looks like a clown here is you, and it just looks like you're jealous that I get more ass than you do. So, I don't know. It makes you look like the clown, not me.
That is a statement. So here's the thing. I want to say that coming to those people from a place of love instead of a place from antagonism is probably going to win more people over to your side. But at the same time, this is a response to people already being antagonistic to her. So it makes sense that she's going to be that way towards them. I'm going to be honest. After this, I want to have this person on my stream. I want to have a conversation with them on stream. That's what I want to do.
So, I don't know. Anyways, for clarification, everyone is very happy in the relationship. I'm very happy. My husband's very happy. My boyfriend's very happy. Nobody is locked into this. Everyone is able to explore their sexuality and date who they wish as long as they pass it by everyone else and everyone's chill. So nobody's trapped into anything. Not that it's anyone's business, but everyone is consenting. So get over yourself and have a lovely and wonderful day. That's all I have to say to you. I hope you step on some Legos, everyone who was shitty to me, but everyone else have a lovely and wonderful day, and I wish you guys the best.
Yeah, no, that sounds perfectly reasonable. That sounds reasonable enough that I'm going to go over to her Twitch, and I'm going to go ahead and give her a follow, because I think rating her would be neat. We have Eggy, Weggy, VT. And there she is. Boom. Follow has been sent. Neato. Apparently they stream 4 days a week at 4 p.m. Eastern, so around the same time that I stream, actually. Interesting. Said stepping on Legos is so nice to say. It is a nice thing to say. Now, let's go ahead and go over some of the responses that have happened as a result of this. So, first things first. I don't see the post anymore here. I have it cached in a tab, but the post doesn't seem to be available anymore the way it was before. It's right here, but you can't... Okay, there we go. Now we can see it here. It was cached weird. That's all it was. That was strange. It's at around the same time I stream. Look, I tried to stream like 5 p.m.-ish, that area. I'm not good at it. I don't manage it very well, but I try. Anyway, we have one from... And this is the thing that's been bothering me a lot. I made a video about right-wing YouTubers. And how weird it is that we've had this like big resurgence of them. And I remember years ago, people who are patrons of mine might remember me making a Patreon video saying that I felt like something like this was going to happen in the VTuber space, because it seemed like the kind of space that was so easy to like go under the radar as a piece of shit, and people aren't really going to be prepared usually in the VTuber space for somebody to do that when they go mask off. But let me go ahead and read you what's going on here. We have Rayafina going, poly is disgusting. Let's not normalize cuck/whore behavior. What's the point of marriage if you're going to sleep with someone else that isn't your husband? You people disgust me. First of all, what the fuck is wrong with you? Again, it's somebody who has a different relationship setup than yours. Also, it's not cucking and whoring. Those are two very, very different things from polyamory. Cucking is the act of humiliation fetish, where you watch somebody do things with your partner and you do not participate, or you participate in a degrading way. Person finishes inside your wife and you are told to lap shit up. That kind of shit. Like that's cucking. It's where the chair from Bluey is from. Whore behavior, on the other hand, that word can mean a lot of things. It can be a degrading word to use for somebody who's sexually promiscuous, or it could be a word that you use to describe the job of being a sex worker. Like, there's many ways that you could use that word, but neither of those are what's happening here. A polyamorous relationship is just two people who want to be together, and then another person says they want to be with another person in that relationship, and those two people in that relationship agree that it's okay for that third or fourth or fifth or sixth person to come in. That's all it is. Like, we can get into the nitty-gritty on words and styles and closed V's and metamors and all kinds of shit, but none of that's really important. All that's important is that it's a group of people who, in some assimilation, love each other. Jassa says 6. I've been in a relationship with 5 before. It was me, I had 2 partners, and then both of those partners had another partner at the time. So yeah, 5 people. So 5 is where I've been before. Like, and sometimes it spider webs out more than that. Like, that's just a thing that can happen. But again, if the people who are in that relationship are happy in that relationship, who cares? Japazio says, how does that work? You go on dates with them sometimes. Okay, god damn it. Okay, let's go over the basics. So in polyamory, you have what's called a nesting partner. The nesting partner is the one that you live with. If you are not with a nesting partner, then you are probably just the metamor. The paramour is you. You are a paramour to your partner. The metamor is the person who may be dating your partner that you are not dating. Spazio says, do you guys split rent or something? You don't all have to be in the same house to be in a relationship that is polyamorous. Like in the situation that I was in years ago, we had 2 people who lived in the same house, but everybody else, like 2 people lived in one house, 1 person lived in another, 2 people lived in another house. Like the situation depends on how you operate. Sometimes people split rent a bunch of ways, and that's a really like economic way to do it, I guess. But is it this is like explaining the rules of a board game? Yeah, that's I was trying not to complicate it with here's how polyamory works, but then it was asked me like, oh, how does that work? And then I see there was a rent situation. It depends. It depends on the makeup. You might have somebody who's not paying rent because they're disabled or something, but the other 2 people are paying rent. Axis says, me, my BF, and my boyfriend's boyfriend don't live together. We want to eventually. It's actually really funny. This comes up today. Last night, my boyfriend's boyfriends checked on me. Hey, it happens. I noticed that there was even more bullshit coming up in regards to this. And one was this guy named Crimson saying that, hey, my ex wanted a poly relationship. I let it happen because I always felt insecure about myself. This is a thing that can happen. I do want to point out, this is a thing that can happen where some people will find themselves inadvertently in a polyamorous relationship, even though they did not want to be in one, because they lack the self-respect to stand up for themselves and say that that is not the relationship style that they want to have. And that's just a thing that can happen. But you can't use that scenario, and Crimson did not do it there, you can't use that scenario to try to paint every polyamorous relationship and say, oh, yeah, no, this is how they all are. One person gets roped in, and the other one didn't actually want that to happen at all. So then I found this, and apparently this is somebody who got blocked by Eggy because of a video that... or I guess they were harassing Eggy after she made a video about this.
I started dating a chatter, and we're madly in love now. Here's the story about how I met my boyfriend, Fable. I'm a huge fan of Final Fantasy XIV, as a lot of you guys know, and we were going through our dailies on stream with chat. In comes the fabled storyteller, a mysterious chatter who I had seen in a mutual stream previously a couple of times. He asked if we needed a tank. I said yes, and he joined what ended up being one of the most fun streams I had ever had. We vibed on such a fundamental and visceral level, and after a nice adult conversation with my husband, into poly life I was thrown, and now I'm stuck with a literal skeleton in my closet. Almost a year into this insane journey though, and I wouldn't have done anything differently. So I'm definitely not saying to date your chatters, but I am saying that it happened to work out for me. Speaking of us, if you want to see us shitpost together, be sure to check us out on Twitch on my stream around 4 p.m. EST, and join Discord at discord.gg/suckegg, because we're both always around. And that's how I started.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. Like, I am not going to say that any streamer should be in a relationship with somebody who is parasocially hanging out in their chat. I think that that's not a smart thing to do for most people. But it's a cute situation. But apparently, this caused Eggy to block this person because, again, I'm going ahead and guessing that they harassed her because looking at the kinds of things that people have been saying to her, it's very, very apparent that that's exactly what's going on. Like when I saw this particular post from Roxanne, going, married a cuck so she can whore herself out freely. Fucking disgusting. Disgusting as fuck. Poly leads to nothing good for any of the people involved. LMAFAO. If you think I'm lying, in a previous video, this whore talks about how the relationship wasn't poly from the first words exchanged, but only when she fell in love with the boyfriend. That's when she sprung on her husband and told him that if he'd say no, she'd be left hurt and denied of her feelings. That's not what she said. She just said that there was an adult relationship. That's... what? That's not what seems to have happened there. Now, there is a chance that something like that might have happened because, again, that's not unheard of. I've been in a situation where somebody was thinking of dating me, and then halfway through the conversation, they found another person that they were into, and they tried being with me and that other person, and then a third person, and then eventually things did not work out with us at that point. I've been in the scenario where things just don't work out because of polyamorous reasons. Sure. Somebody says, I'm drinking dragon's milk, and what are you drinking? Whatever it is, drink it. I'm drinking Diet Dr. Pepper. None of these people would bat an eye about a guy actually cheating or something. So, like, again, I've seen scenarios, and I've been in scenarios where it fails because of poly reasons, but that is not what seems to be described here. We seem to be lacking any information on the side of the husband for us to make that assumption. She said, so like with every poly relationship, poor guy was mind broken and left with two choices: accept the whore or divorce and think of his life until this point as a failure. So he became a shell of a man. I don't think that that's what seems to have happened, honestly. Like, that just doesn't seem to be the case based on what I can see here. Now, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm incorrect, but I have as much insight on this relationship as you have on this relationship, and you don't seem to know that at all. And when they link to the video where they say that, oh, no, this is definitely what happened, like, no, that's not what's going on there. At least, again, not from what's being described. And we live in two scenarios. You can either be the person that has this like fantasy role play in your head of what goes on in somebody else's life, or you can accept the words that they tell you at face value, or you can try to be somewhere in between. But like, the further you get away from the words they're telling you, the further into your own LARPing you have to go. Fighter says, I personally find poly a bit weird, so I'm not going to go around making assumptions. So like, for me, I'm comfortable not being in a polyamorous relationship. In fact, I'm in a relationship right now that I find to be stable, fulfilling, and happy enough that in terms of any long-term polyamorous stuff, I don't want to do that as of right now. I've had my experiences in that area, and I know where I'm at, I know where my boundaries are, I know where my limits are. And I know that I'm happy where I'm at right now. Maybe she's going to find similar where she's at, or maybe she's just going to end up in a relationship with these two forevermore. I don't know. You don't know. And it's not up to us to fucking judge that until we find out that somebody's actually been hurt. Seriously, if my wife tried that shit on me, I'd have told her cleanly what's up. Well, it sounds like you found someone you love more than your family, so we'll pack it up here. Expect papers from my lawyer. And then I just leave. No arguments, no need. She chose. Why fight? Will says, the way I see poly is that if everyone in the relationship is of legal age, consenting and not forced into it, then I don't care what people do in the bedroom. I might find that's weird conceptually, but that's not my place to say anything. Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter. We need a new title for the simps of that VTuber. Like, they got double cucked. Okay, that's another thing that confuses me. Why is there this weird concept in the VTuber community that you're being cucked if you find out that the VTuber that you like has a partner? That's so fucking stupid. At least we have some normal people in here going, as a relationship therapist, I could break people's brains if I told them just how common being poly is. Is it for everyone? Of course not. But for those who are poly and do the work needed to maintain multiple partnerships in a healthy way, it's fulfilling. Exactly. It is not a thing for everybody. For the people that it works for, it's fine. But of course, we find some of the usual suspects crawling around the replies here, like Celestium, if you don't remember. She's the Christian VTuber who decided to go on an anti-trans rant and literally got famous, turned her VTubing hobby into a career off of being a bigot and then getting shouted out by people like Rez Says Desu. her, and I remember seeing one from Miyazu as well, the Sonic the Hedgehog VTuber, who did the same thing, went on a rant about how being anti-trans was good and okay, actually. It's always the usual suspects popping up every single time. Now, there are people who find that they are in a poly relationship and it's not there for. Said Twitter is more terminally online than Reddit. The what? What do you mean the what? So I think people need to relearn that some things just might not be for them. Yep. Hypeman Gaming says, thoughts on anti-SJWs like Nerdrotic and Elon complaining about the Odyssey having a black actress. I think Nerdrotic is a fucking loser, and I think Elon is a double loser. I think it's really funny that most of Elon's transphobia stems entirely from him actually legitimately getting cucked by a trans person. I think that's the hilarious thing. I think that's the most hilarious thing in the world. Said, yo, these would have been trolled to oblivion back in the old days of the internet. Like, these people sound so sexless. To care about somebody else's relationship so much that you are openly and actively harassing them on the internet, it doesn't make any sense to me. It seems like such a waste of time. And yet, it is exactly what these people do. There's nothing wrong with being polyamorous. And yet, you're gonna get these people who operate this way. Ay. Fucking, and again, like I said, Celestium. Marriage is a sacred bond between one man and one woman. Actually, marriage can be between two gay people, so you've already got it wrong there. It's painful to hear the pride in her voice. It's painful to hear that somebody is happy about their relationship. What kind of stupid fucking behavior is that, you dumbass? It shows a lack of respect and love towards her husband. No, it doesn't. We don't know enough about their relationship to know what's really going on there. Her husband might actually be in an open relationship with like 5 other fucking people that he's just not in a committed relationship with, and this is her outlet outside of that. We don't know. We don't know. Marriage in the West has become a joke, and I pray to God more people wake up and push back against this being normalized. No, what's a joke is the fact that you people think that you get any say over anybody else's relationship and how valid they are. It's not normal or healthy. Bitch, at one time, owning slaves was normal. Something being normalized doesn't automatically make it good, and polyamory isn't always healthy. But neither are monogamous relationships. Fucking hell. If you don't want to stay committed to one person, please do not get married. Again, not your business. There are people who, like, okay, I have seen scenarios where 2 people in a polyamorous relationship get married because of legal reasons. Because one of them needs to be, like, the actual caretaker for the other, and for tax and legal reasons, they need to actually have the marriage certificate because we attach that stuff that way. Like, I'm sorry that other people have relationships that are different than yours. Oh my God, you're right, Dorito. This is the, I consent. Is there somebody you forgot to ask? And it's just fucking Celestium. You have 3 people saying, I consent, and then just Celestium, is there someone you forgot to ask? What a loser. Men, women, if your spouse wants to open the relationship, your relationship is done. Adultery is never okay, and if you need to accept it to keep someone, it's better to move on. That person clearly has little respect for you. As always, please do not harass this person. Please don't harass this person, but I'm going to retweet them. I'm going to retweet them. I'm not going to make even the smallest amount of effort to give them even an ounce of anonymity. Don't harass them, but I'm also going to give you every single method to do so. Jesus Christ. So it's not adultery. It's not cheating when somebody's in a relationship that is poly. It's just a different relationship structure. Now, I will say, there is a nugget of truth to this. As there always is a nugget of truth to statements like this. And the nugget of truth here is very simple. There are relationships that are on the rocks that either party thinks can be saved by introducing a third person. I've been there. That doesn't work. It's like having a kid to save a relationship. It doesn't work. Relationships survive because of a lot of hard work and having a good foundation. If they don't have a good foundation, or they have either party not willing to work on themselves and be honest with the other person in the relationship, then the relationship is going to fail. That's just how it's going to be. You can create a good foundation from an unstable one, but you cannot maintain a relationship with an unstable foundation, and you can't maintain a relationship if no party wants to work. And if your version of working on your relationship is bringing another person in, then yes, your relationship is doomed to fail. Because instead of working on things between you and your partner, you've just added another person into the mix, hoping that that will fix everything. Now, there are some scenarios where this might be valid. Like, say you have a person who is hypersexual dating somebody who's ace, and you bring in another person because that person is willing to have sex with your partner, and they fall in love with your partner. So your partner now is able to have sex, but also maintain a relationship with their ace partner. Sure, that can work because there's actual fundamental things that are missing there that can be covered by another person. But generally speaking, that doesn't work. Generally speaking, that doesn't fix anything. It just causes people to gravitate away from who they are with. And again, for somebody to be in a poly relationship, they need to be able to experience compersion. If they cannot experience that feeling of enjoying somebody else being in love with somebody else, then it's not going to work. Because where there is a lack of that, you're only going to have jealousy. Every single one of these people feels like such a joke, honestly, because it's none of their business, and the best they can do is make the excuse, oh, well, she put it on the internet, so she made it everybody's business. Well, no. Putting it on the internet does not mean that you are open to have a shit ton of harassment sent at you. The Nodoka Saotome's solution was bringing the sword all over the place, and that's not really that healthy, but it makes sense when you read the book. I have no idea what you're talking about. That seems to be the case half the time when I look into chat. I have no idea what's being talked about, but it's there. Jess says it can't really be called cheating if everybody knows and has agreed to it. Like, where's the subterfuge? Right, cheating is a non-adherence to the rules that have been established in a relationship. But if the rules that are established in the relationship are that you can be with another person, then that's not cheating anymore. It ceased being that very, very quickly. Access, is it cheating if you ask? There's a situation where it can be. There's a situation where you have emotionally checked out from your partner and you want to be with somebody else, but like due to comfort, you want to stay with your partner. So you end up asking if you can have a polyamorous relationship because you don't want to leave that sense of stability, but you still don't have love for your partner. I'd say that's cheating. I'd say that's still emotional cheating at that point because somebody has checked out of the relationship. They have thrown their eggs in a different basket, but they are sticking with you for I don't know what the fuck reason. But if I'm being perfectly honest, there's no way to tell when that's the situation. There's no way to tell if and when that is actually the mechanics of what's going on at all. It's just really weird seeing, like, the VTubing community seemed like it was way more open and way more inviting when I joined it. Maybe I was just ignorant to some of the back alleys of it, but like the longer that I've been here, the more fucking Rev Says Desu prototypes have just come out of the woodworks. Axel says, insert, there's someone you forgot to ask me. Exactly. There's someone you forgot to ask, and it's Celestium. Unfortunately, people are using words to reduce their shame. Polyamory is just cheating with extra steps. You know, those extra steps are what makes it not cheating. I genuinely believe we need to bring back shaming, but more importantly, bring Christ back into schools and everyday life in the West. No, we don't. We don't need to try to indoctrinate people into your arbitrary religion. We can have people find it on their fucking own. We don't need to do that. There's no way you could convince me that that's something we need to do. Also, we don't need to shame people more for being in a relationship that makes them happy. That doesn't make any fucking sense. I know you say you're happy, and your husband says they're happy, and your partner says they're happy, and all of you say you're happy, but I, personally, a person who doesn't know you on the internet in any way other than parasocial, I know what's best for you. Actually. God, it's such loser behavior. Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagitt, you know I'm not saying that last part, Sylvie Snow, Valis of Seraph, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.